who work with me, right? So just keep that, so you can request funding for training to happen or specialized support to come in to make sure that the staff who work with you can meet your needs. So if you went with another agency, right, and you wanted to make sure they knew how to work with a deafblind person, you could then ask to make sure that there's funding to train the staff who work with you.
Every person is a little bit different and has different needs and different preferences. So that's a really good way of showing exactly how you like your communication to be. Okay, so the very last thing is, it's not so much about communication, it's just about generally what you would want in your plan. I'm just going to go and get it. I worked on a project and it was focusing on people with communication issues, but we developed a book that covers lots of different life domains, really all the key life domain areas. And it's got photos of things in those areas, and just looking at the photos can be a good way to prompt you to think about things. Oh yes, I definitely want to do that, or more of that. Or it might get you thinking about some other things. Sometimes looking at a picture, and if you can't see the pictures, someone can sit and describe them to you. I think that will still generate some discussion of the things that you want to go into your weekly plan. I know we've done a bit of work on that in the last session, and Adrian will have them here today. If you've got them yet, the things that you filled out in the past. No.
I'll have them next time.
But you could, if you finish the communication profile and you still have a bit of time, I only have one of these books, but you're welcome to have a look at it and just share it, to even get you thinking about other things that you might want in your NDIS plan. Does anybody have any questions or comments about all of that before we move on to filling in the communication profile? I just want to check. Ideally, we have been wanting this at Able Australia for a really long time, is that every person that receives support from us would have a communication profile. So staff do know what's the best way to support you. So can you also just write on it if you're happy to share that information with Able Australia? And then it will be good, we can type it up and have it there so that any new staff working with you will know what you like with your communication.
Alex is clapping.
Okay. All right, so we're going to, thank you for that, Mary. That was
Thanks,
wonderful.
Adrian.
Colleen has a question.
I'm not sure if we're on the same page. Is VicDeaf and Able Australia, they're separate organisations. Are they going to immerse, and will that improve our communication overall?
As far as I know, they're not merging, and they are different organisations that provide slightly different services.
Pauline again. So VicDeaf and Able are separate, yes. But people with autism and deafblind people, you mean VicDeaf?
Mental health.
Oh, sorry, mental health.
Mental health project.
So Able Australia focuses more on people with blindness and a range of disabilities, whereas VicDeaf focuses more on deaf and mental health. So is Able Australia just staying to focus with people with disabilities and blindness?
So VicDeaf is anybody who's deaf. So you can get a service from VicDeaf because you're deaf. So it's not just deaf and mental health, it's anybody who's deaf or hearing impaired can get a service from VicDeaf. With Able Australia, we started out as the Deaf Blind Association. So that was anybody who has vision and hearing impairment. Any level, but they must have both vision and hearing impairment. Not just deaf, not just blind. Now Able Australia is much, much bigger, and they work with people with multiple disabilities. So it can be any 2 or 3 disabilities, so maybe physical and intellectual, all different. But under Able Australia, there's still deaf-blind services. So there is that services group for people who are deaf-blind. So that's the difference between the 2 organisations.
So including intellectual disability, if you have an intellectual disability, you can be involved in VicDeaf?
Yes, if you're deaf. You can be deaf and have an intellectual disability, deaf-blind, deaf and a physical disability. Able Australia though, with deaf-blind services, you must have a vision impairment as well.
I feel a little bit isolated with the services remaining separate.
You'll need to talk to the CEOs. That's way beyond what I look at, or what anyone in this room knows about. So that's about the big bosses deciding if they want to merge or stay separate. And the 2 services offer different services as well. And that's, yeah, I can't really comment. That it's for the boards of management, the people that govern the organisations to decide if they're separate or merge.